you have such an original aura around you, which I think is very special. And yes, for a Pune girl, for somebody from Ahota to get to such a huge level is absolutely a matter of national pride. So yes,
Thank you.
congratulations to you. That is absolutely fantastic.
Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah, it's been a long journey to get here. I think one of the dreams was to win the Grammy, but yeah, that didn't happen this year. But maybe next year, who knows? At least I got to
Yeah,
the academy, which is a good, like, it's a good thing for independent artists to be able to get there, because it helps you to voice. You can vote and you can submit and you can help to change policy. So that's why it's important being part of something in which you can help bring about a global change to the way people perceive music across the world. So yeah, that's been good.
That's been fantastic. That really sounds very, very incredible. And I love how your journey trajectory has just gone from working at Infosys. You used to work at Infosys previously, and now you're at a position where you can submit music to the Grammy, which is just insane. How many times do you hear that? I think you've had like the dream, where everyone who's had like a 9 to 5 job, this is like their ultimate dream, that I'll quit, I'll follow my dreams, and you've done that, and you're killing it. You're killing the game. So yeah, talk a little bit more about that. How did that happen?
So yeah, I studied in Pune, actually, in Cummins engineering. I did my engineering, and then I think music has always been a part of my life. Like, I started actually singing when I was maybe 6 or younger. Like, I learned Indian classical, and then it was always like I picked up the guitar at 16, and then so throughout college, I was in Ferguson and then Cummins in Pune. So throughout that, we had like bands and performances, and then eventually, when the companies came for placements to our college, I knew that I felt like I wanted to join a company where I could pursue my other passions. So I have two main, like, I'm also a hockey player. I used to represent Maharashtra. Like, I used to play professionally. Yeah. So I wanted to pursue my dream of, like, I never got to play for India, but at least I played national. So that was something. But the point was that I wanted to continue that. So I wanted to continue playing hockey and doing music. So I figured that this company, Infosys, has like both a hockey team and like they have a music room, and they encourage employees to do much more than. So I was like, I want to join this company, and I was inspired by Narayan Murthy. And also when they came for placement to our college, I got in and I continued music there. Like, we had a band in Infosys, and that's when I started actually. I was playing the Bangalore circuit for a while. So because my company Infosys was in Bangalore, the DC which I was placed in, so we did a lot of gigs locally. And when we were in Pune, we won a bunch of those inter-collegiate whatever festivals, AIS, SSMS or something. They had they used to have this big music fest every year. So for colleges, so we had made this. I was in a girls' college, like Cummins, so we had made like a girls' band, and we used to participate in a bunch of So it sort of continued from there, and eventually at some point, I think I was with the company for 3 years, and somewhere 1 year along the line, I felt like maybe I should be doing something in my life that's more connected with music and with people. Because I used to, every time my mom would call and see like, what's happening in Bangalore, how is work, I used to always be saying our band's doing this and our band's doing that. And she's like, yeah, but what about like the work, you know? And I figured that maybe my interest is more in the in the other things, which is not my core job. So I think I was working in the US. So for a year, I was in Bangalore. Then I got posted to Seattle. So while I was there, it's actually a long story, sorry. But anyway, while I was in Seattle, I would go to this club every Sunday to sing karaoke, because they would give a free meal to like people that would sing well. So I thought like, okay, chal, let's try my luck and all. So I would go there on Sundays, and I made friends with this American lady. Her name was Ori Moore. and she was a musician in Seattle, and she would play with. She had her own band, so I heard her songs. She would write her own music, and then I told her, like, how can I perform like you in venues here? Like, can you put me in touch with people? And then she asked me, have you written your own songs? And I said, like, I have some demos, but not really recorded. And she said, okay, give me a CD. I host this women's showcase every Sunday. My friend hosts this women's showcase. So if we like your music, maybe we'll slot you in there. So I didn't have any recordings. So I went home, and we used to have those Dell computers, that CD thing earlier, like where now you don't have those, but you could put a CD in and burn it and all, right? Um, so I recorded like my guitar and voice, a few songs on that, on using Audacity, and burnt a CD. And I gave it to her and said, this is my demo. And then she heard it and said, yeah, okay, it's got some potential. We'll slot you in the show. So there were some other American artists, and there were 3 of them, and then there was me. And that was my first gig of original music. It was in Seattle, in some club like Main Stage Music and Comedy. So, and then they said that whoever sells the most, you have to sell tickets for this show, and whoever sells the most tickets will headline the gig. So I was like, okay. So I went to office and I told all the Indians, like, "Ki mera show hai, aaj ticket kharido," and all. So everybody's like really excited, because there weren't a lot of IT people in our office doing music. And also then all my American and Indian friends, they bought tickets. So it landed up being that I sold the most tickets and I got to headline the gig.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and then I was like, wow, this is my first show and I get to headline. Anyway, so like all these American bands played before me and I was the last like band. And that was my first performance. And I had another guitarist and he was this Turkish guy who was also an IT guy. So we met in Seattle at a jam and he used to work with Microsoft. So we would go after work. I would take a bus to Microsoft, which was also in Redmond. And we would practice in one of the conference rooms. And we would take all the snacks from that they had a free snack machine. As you can see, food has been a motivator in many cases. So anyway, it was like a free snack machine. So we would get the snacks and sit in Microsoft. Hope nobody's hearing this, but in their conference rooms after like work and rehearse. And then we performed together and we got a standing ovation. And that sort of gave me some confidence to like thinking that maybe like people might like my music if it was well received and all that. So that's when I thought about seriously maybe pursuing music. And then I just told my boss, like, I'm quitting and I'm going back to India. Actually, I told it was 1 year into my job, like 1 year in, I was in America. And after that, I told him that I think I want to go back to India because I felt like if I stay here too long, not that I didn't, I also loved playing in Seattle. It's a beautiful place. But I felt like if I stay here too long in this job, I'll earn so much money that like I'll think twice about wanting to quit and start a new journey in something from scratch, It becomes tough, yeah. Like the longer you wait, then as it is, you're earning like quite a lot of money, like in IT, and it's in dollars. And then I didn't want to like get into that space where I'm like, okay, now is it worth the risk to do this at this stage in my life and all that? So I just took the plunge. I was like, okay, let's just do it. So I quit my job. It was kind of like all my friends and family were kind of a bit freaked out about that decision because I was supposed to be in the US for long and I had a visa, like a work visa. So I just decided to leave that behind. So then I came here and then I don't know, I started from scratch in Pune all over again because it was, no one really cares that you were in a cool, whatever, office in Seattle because you were not doing music, you were doing IT. So it was like starting all over. and you have to eat a lot of humble pie when you have to go with your CD to places again, and just the whole grind. But it teaches you a lot. It taught me a lot. So yeah, that's a story in short, or not so short.
That's one hell of a story, I'll tell you that much. Because I think a lot of, as someone who's also gone to an engineering college, I see where you're coming from. We're all so concerned about not becoming a cog in the machine. We don't want to turn into like IT zombies, which you're right. It tends to get a bit too comfortable. And especially when you are by nature a very creative person. I think Nana will also agree with me, because we're all
Yeah.
little creative Pune kiddos out here. But it
Where do you do
yeah,
engineering from? That's so cool. Where did
I
you
went to
guys?
Manipal, Manipal
Oh, you
Institute of Technology.
Manipal. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's famous. Yeah. Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Cool.
I do
What about
have
Nana?
friends in Cummins though, and I heard that K-pop is like a huge deal there. And I think one of the things that Cummins is very rare for is that it is a girls-only college. Which when it comes to engineering, this is the major issue, right? Because you have like what 12% women in an average engineering
Yeah.
college. So I'm
Yeah, our
sure you had
college
like a
had.
very unique experience.
It was well, the thing is I was in a girls' school, and then the only time I was with guys in an educational environment was in 11th and 12th in Ferguson. And again, I was in a girls' college. But I think the good thing about being in that was it was very, like, you could just, there was no like, we could just do whatever we want and be how we were without getting conscious about, I don't know, like it seemed a little like like your own, I don't know how to really describe it. But and I also think that maybe in a way there were more opportunities for everybody, because to grow, um, because sometimes when you're in a mixed environment, like people don't take you as seriously somehow, at least initially in the music, for the music thing I'm saying, like guys would just dismiss you a lot of times. And that happened with me a lot of times also when I would play with bands. Like literally there are guys, and when you're playing them, you're giving them suggestions, they don't even look at you, they're just like, yeah, whatever, listen to the other guys. And over here, because they were all women and everyone has mutual respect for one another, and also that was kind of nice, for in a way that everyone learned and sort of grew together, and sort of supported one another more. That whole male whatever patriarchal thing wasn't there. I mean, I would say like now it's become much better, but initially when I was starting out in a lot of bands, like they never took you seriously if you're a woman musician and you play, like mostly everyone just sees you as a singer. Like if even though I could play guitar, they'll be like, no, you don't play, you just sing, like that kind of, or very dismissive attitude. So that has changed now over the years, but you have to really prove yourself. I would say, like in that kind of an environment, to ultimately get that respect and everything.
Yeah, I'm so sorry you had to go through that. I think it's just very unfortunate when you have to face that kind of obnoxious and that kind of entitlement that comes across. And honestly, it's their loss, right? Because I'm sure you were giving out valuable suggestions, but it's their loss if they're not able to incorporate that. And I've noticed that the people who are genuinely really good musicians will always be people that want to accept, that want to learn, that want to like get better, rather than just being very dismissive. And to be dismissive of someone just on the basis of gender is absolutely ridiculous. And
Yeah.
I really look up to the fact that you didn't let that get to you, and that you continued in your own process, and you've actually created all kinds of music. Like I would really encourage
Different.
anyone who's listening to this to really go check out Lessons in Love, because you really show like a very versatile tapestry of like what your tastes are. So I listen
Thank
to
you.
yeah, I think you've done a fascinating job with, especially with the whale song. You won't
Oh
believe
yeah.
this, but all right. So here's the thing. I had gone to meet somebody at High Spirits, and I happened to run into Reena Joy, and I know that
Oh,
you
Rina,
know
yeah.
Reena. So
Yeah,
she
yeah.
actually made me listen to the whale song,
Oh, she did.
and
Okay.
my mind was blown, because I'm
Oh,
like a huge 80s. I love 80s music, and I really felt like you hit that perfect. It was like a little bit of Dire Straits, a little bit of A Flock of Seagulls by Iran, a little bit of like everything, it captured that 80s essence so perfectly. And then I listened to Nice Guy as well, which is just amazing.
Oh,
Like
nice.
that jazz solo is just the best thing
Yeah.
ever. And as someone
Thanks,
who
yeah,
studied
that's so
jazz
sweet.
and like, it really is. It's very original. It's so brave for you to think like that in the first place, because I follow indie music a lot and I see that people are always trying
Mm-hmm.
to follow into one formula. There's like, ठीक है,
Mm-hmm.
चार chord hai, and this is your verse, this is your bridge, this is your pre-chorus, and then that's the end of the song. But you
Yeah.
really follow like a very original pattern, and you have a very unique way of presenting your ideas. And like you're rapping in the
Thank you.
middle of it, you're doing that classic Mark Knopfler thing where he's
Yeah.
not singing, he's just talking to it. You're doing everything, and it just fits and
Thanks.
it just clicks so well. So
That's
hats
so
off to
sweet
you.
of you to say. Thank you. I think that the rap actually was not originally in the song, but then I think like as I was writing it, I felt like I really need to say these words. And then like in the original composition, it wasn't there, that whole section. And it came later. Like as I was recording the demo, I was like, I really want to say these things. And I know it's kind of weird to put it in, but I just felt like it's my song. I can do whatever I want. Like, because some people were saying, why we want to put a rap in this? It just sounds more melodic, like the way it is and all. And then I was like, no, but that's the advantage of being indies. Like, you can just do whatever the hell you want with your song because it's yours. Like, you're not like trying to meet any standard of some person who's asked you to create. And I went to a few labels, and in fact, like initially, and this is one advantage and also disadvantage, is that when you make music that's so diverse, like, and no label wants to sign you because they think that you should fit into some particular mold. Like, say Pratik would only make some pop or whatever, that particular, he has a signature style. Like, if you listen to a song, it's a Pratik Ward song because he has a signature kind of form thing. You've heard his songs, you know what I mean. But, or like, say, like, if you wanna, my second album was Kashmiri English. So again, that was because the theme was to present a positive side of Kashmir and to help people to see the culture, in a because, and change the media narrative. So there's a different thought process that goes into every album. But when you go to a label, they try to make you fit into a box. So they said that you need to decide whether you want to be a Kashmiri pop artist or whether you want to be like a rock person or what, like. And I was like, I don't want to. I mean, I don't know what's going to come next because it keeps evolving based on your experiences and what you hear and the people you meet. So you can't like predetermine that I'm going to just make this. And it's like kind of limiting your creativity to do that. So because of that, unfortunately, like no label will kind of want to work with you because they want your target audience to be very defined, so that their marketing will then be driven towards, like, say, a pop audience who's in the age group of 14 to 21 years old. And so there's a bit of I would say the disadvantage is this, that yeah, you don't fit into a mold, so you can't cater to a specific audience. But the advantage is that creatively, there's so many possibilities that you don't have to limit yourself. And I think that's something that I value because I don't see myself fitting into any particular genre. Like, I can't really, if someone asks me what genre of music do you do, I find it difficult to answer that question because it's a mixed bag, honestly, of different things. And I don't know what's going to come next. Like, now I'm thinking all rap stuff, like, for the next album, and I'm like, but that doesn't mean I'm a rapper. Like, it just means that that particular song is a rap, is like a rap. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something that I wanted to share about this whole thing. About, that's why I've stayed indie for so long, because this label thing always wants you to fit into some mold, and also then dress a certain way, be a certain way, only do some kinds of gigs and all those things.
Yeah,
But it comes
I
at a
love
cost. It comes at a
definitely.
cost of, you have to hustle more, struggle more. You don't always get paid as much as you could get with those bigger gigs, but it's more real, like, in some ways, to be able to reach out to people that whenever and whoever you want to reach out to, you can. So I like that control, I think. being in my hands as an artist.
Yeah.
What is your inspiration for the music? Like for each song you write, what is the typical,
Mhm.
what is your inspiration for your upcoming album? Simple question.
Okay. So for this previous one, it was like every album has some particular theme. So the first one was this. I've released 3 albums now. So Journey to the Sun was the first one, and that was like my transition from IT to music and the kind of things that happened along the way. But a lot of the experiences were so there's a song called Rise, and it's about knowing a moment in your life when you really want to do something, and no matter what people say or the world says, you know you found your calling, and it's about waking up to that. So that song was inspired. Flying High was inspired by Bumblebee and the Bumblebee Theory. So I also like see things around and kind of draw parallels to life from nature in many ways. So for Flying High, it was like if you see the bumblebee, you'll see his body's kind of big, his wings are little, and according to the laws of aerodynamics, it says that the bee, any object of this shape, is not able to take flight. So the bee apparently breaks all these laws, and he defies the laws of flight, and he still flies. So it's actually called the Bumblebee Theory. And I found it very interesting as human beings when we put our limits on ourselves with our own thinking. Like many times you try to do something new, right? And people will tell you like, before you even start, they'll be like, it's not gonna happen. Maybe when you guys decided to start this podcast, someone might have told you, man, there's so much work, but do you really think you're going to be consistent? What if it doesn't work out, or a waste of time? You know, like all these things people will start saying. Or sometimes it's on your own mind also. Sometimes you think that about yourself, like, shit, will I have enough time to do this? Or will I, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fail? Is it better to not do it at all then? So I think that a lot of times, like when you just keep all this aside, and if we can just like be like the bumblebee, like just take that leap of faith, you realize that there's infinite possibilities, and you're capable of so much which you didn't realize that you, because a lot of times it's a mind only that's a barrier to all that we can do. And so that song is inspired by that, like seeing a bee, it made me think about this and then think about the life. So a lot of my songs are like that. Like I'll see something, say Burning Fire is inspired by, that's from my second album. It's inspired by, I went to Dharamshala and I learned about a lot of things that's happening with the Tibetan community. So see the music video later if you can. But it's about like a lot of people in Tibetans started self-immolating because of the Chinese occupation of Tibet, they a lot of their homes and their monasteries were burnt, and their culture was trying to be eradicated. Like the Chinese want them to fit into some particular mold of theirs, and because of this, a lot of Tibetans started. It being a minority, the United Nations wasn't listening to their voices. So, China is a superpower. So nobody wants to listen to the voice of the small fry, whatever. So no one was hearing their issues. And you know how the media is, like if there's some sensational thing, they'll cover it, right? So people actually started self-immolating because they knew the media will cover this and then their voices will be heard. And I found that like really I don't know. It just like it was very sad for me to know that for someone's voice to be heard, they have to burn themselves alive. And imagine, like only then people will hear what you have to say. Like what kind of? So I don't know. So yeah, it moved me, and then I came back, and then I wrote this song, and I felt like we need to do something to bring more awareness to this. So my friend who was a filmmaker, she's my best friend. She's a filmmaker, and then we went back to Dharamshala, and then we met like refugees. We shot this video. We wanted to capture that. So a lot of the songs are inspired by things that I feel strongly about, whether it's society or perception or Lessons in Love was inspired. So yeah, that was our first album. Kahwa Speaks was my second album, inspired by my wanting to help the world see a better side of Kashmir, because all you really read about the news is tourism or terrorism. And it's either one of these two, like, oh, Kashmir kitna sundar hai, jao dekho, look at the mountains, it's beautiful, or it's feel like people are getting shot, people are getting killed. It's like either one of the two, right? So there's so much like culturally that people don't know about this, and a lot of people, there was this thing in the middle that women from Kashmir can't sing because, like those people got shot and all, right? I don't know if you know, there was a band, women, all girls band that tried to sing and then they got shot by some people in the leg. And so there's this whole thing about like culturally, like there are some extremists that believe that music should not be sung by women and all. I say like, and I wanted to help them to see that all the poetesses and all the famous like songs were all women, like Haba Khatun and Lal Ded and all. They were all women, and they make up such a large part of Kashmiri culture. So highlighting that to the world, highlighting that to maybe change some perception somewhere. So that was my motive for the second album, Kahwa Speaks. And then we crowdfunded like money to create visuals. So we wanted it to be an immersive experience for our audiences. So we made this audio visual kind of show, and we started going to different cities. And in Pune, we played at the Towards Peace Festival by Goethe Institute in the Audi there. So yeah, that was some of the stuff. And then I actually started seeing that by doing this, people are actually getting to know more about the realities of what it's like. And I could actually see that music is making a change here. And then I started feeling like this is what I want to do. Like I want to use music like a medium for saying what I want to say and helping to shift some sort of perception if I can. Like it shouldn't just be like boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room. Even like I mean, like it should. Okay, that's like but I don't know. For me personally, this is more like a way to reach out to people with my thoughts and see if I can help to shift anything. And the third album was kind of unlike my other two, this recent one, Lessons in Love, because it was about I went through some experiences, and I used to always think I should write about things that matter. And I would not write about love or personal things at all, actually. I would write a lot about society and things that I'm seeing around. And then this album became very personal because I realized that if I have to be authentic, then I have to recognize that you can be vulnerable also, and you go through things and you have to acknowledge it. So Lessons in Love is about learning lessons about yourself or about life from any experience that you've been through. Because at the end, if you go through a relationship or something and it doesn't work out, you always learn something. Or even if you don't go, but you like somebody and whatever, like any sort of interaction, human interaction helps you to understand yourself better or life better in some way. So I think this album was about getting in touch with that vulnerable side and being able to help other people who might be going through something similar to have a song for it, something like that. I would say like that. Yeah, sorry, I spoke a lot, but I wanted to explain the whole thing.
I wish that you would just go on for hours, because 10 on 10 for integrity. I think you're like it really takes a lot of guts, like you said, to stay in the indie scene and to work so actively to get your message across. Like you said, you're working on music that presents your reflection of society and your perspective of the world around you, which is so important as artists.
Yes.
Like, especially when you think of folk musicians, you think of Joan Baez, or you think of like so many women, especially throughout history, who've always used music as an instrument to reflect on what is actually going on in the world. And what I love about your story and what I find is so unique to you is one, as an engineer, I think we develop these very important skills, not about like what we're studying in classes, but this concept of jugaad and this concept of just applying. You have to be very quick with your brain. You can think in multiple ways, and
Yeah.
you're the only artist I've come across who's actively doing this, who's involved with NFTs, and who's you're really
Oh,
pushing your
recently.
music and really working really hard to get your music heard and to market it. So I think in all aspects of music, because obviously as an artist, it's not just about the music itself, it's also about how the business works and how you get it propagated. So I think you're killing that game as well. And I don't know, probably
I'm
like 2% of
trying.
the world actually understands what NFTs are, but
I,
it's
I
good.
don't even know if I understand it fully. Yeah, but no, you're right. You need to think ahead, yeah, as a artist. So the NFT thing's gonna blow up a lot. The metaverse and everything is it's gonna happen very soon. That everything is gonna go in that direction. So if you're one of the people early on, it's kind of like Bitcoin, like the people that invested early profited from it later on, but then they had the foresight to do that. And for me, I initially actually created the NFTs before when I submitted to the Grammys, because I thought that if I get a nomination, then the value will go up in the marketplace because people auction on the bid on the NFT. So that was the initial premise. Obviously, I didn't get a nomination, but it's okay. Um, because it's still out there like in the marketplace, and eventually as the artist grows and all that, people who collectors who have foresight invest in art. It's like anyhow art art people who collect art would invest in art, not always for possessing it but also for selling it in the future. So so I think NFT, the good thing about is that you get to retain the rights on your art. And even if you put it out, like say I've put out uh, two NFTs from Katyuchuk, one of my music videos, and the rights to the song and this video still remain with me, but that person can use it in the metaverse in the future. So I mean, so I find that pretty like it's good because artists need to keep finding, the streaming income is so negligible that artists need to keep finding new ways to make their music profitable, to keep creating music. Otherwise we're all going to have to stop at some point because it's just so expensive to even record and put out videos and pay, like you have to pay so many people, the musicians, the studio, the recording guy, so it's so much investment. And then I mean right now I've not even sold any NFTs, but I'm hoping that they'll sell in the future because Fantico is marketing it and stuff. So let's see. I think the idea is just like you put your feet in different things and like all these new things, and then you have to see how it works by actually doing it. Because theoretically, there are things that sound very good on paper, and then when you actually do it, they may not work. And it could be the reverse. Some things which may not be good might actually work very well for you, but you only sort of learn by doing things. So you have to keep trying out different things, different strategies, and adapting to the changing landscape in the music industry. I mean, since I started, there were CDs. I used to like go and sell CDs at gigs. Then later in my second album, I was like, okay, what do I do? So I made merch and a digital download. With this third album, COVID happened, so we had to focus more on the whole digital thing. And now maybe in this year I'll do a tour or something, because mostly I was playing in Delhi only, like throughout this last year. And I had a gig in Pune which got canned because of some municipality thing. But I think we'll be planning a tour soon to get more people to listen to the album in the live format and all.
That's very exciting. I really hope that I can come see you if you're performing in Pune. But yes, and also everybody who's listening, please go invest in Pragnya's NFTs right now, and I'm sure it's gonna pay off. But I'm glad that you highlighted that dhanda is very important as part of being a
Yeah.
musician, because a lot of artists, they feel very shy about opening up, especially like the really good ones. They're always doubting themselves, and they're very afraid of putting themselves out there. But at the same time, like you said, because it's so accessible now, right? Anyone can just record themselves and put up something on Spotify, and then you never know where it's going to. So it happened with me. I am not in any kind of social media. I don't like interact or engage with the audience in any way. I've been playing piano for a long time. So I collaborated with some music director from Mumbai who reached out to me because he knew one of my friends in college. तो मैंने उसके लिए like piano लिख दिया, and the next thing I know, these guys are featured on Spotify, Radar India, on Rolling Stone India, and everything, and मेरा नाम भी है उसके साथ. I've done
that's
absolutely
amazing.
nothing. हाँ,
You didn't. You wrote the piano parts. That's something. That's great, though. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You never know when opportunity will knock and how it is gonna come. So you always need to be at your 100%. Honestly, like I was telling artists also that even sometimes, like when I just started out, like there are some gigs where there's just one person and two people, and then there are gigs where there are 100 people. But initially I would get discouraged, like being like, man, there's one person, yeah, whatever, let's just play. But then I realized that you have to always be at your 100, because that one person, he could be like a record label owner. So who cares if he's one really important person he's sitting, you better be like at your best. So I mean, we need to as artists realize that opportunity can be anywhere, and you always need to be at, like, bring your A game to everything. Like, even if there's no one in the audience, you do your best show because you're doing it for you. Like, you're doing it to keep a certain standard. Like, so I think yeah, this is a great example, actually, what you just shared about how, like, you'd never know what can happen when and where and how. So
yeah, it's a very erratic system, definitely. I think it acts like a double-edged sword, right, in your entertainment industry, where definitely, yeah, you put your feet in enough of things, and something can, like, you hatch enough oysters, and then you get a pearl out of something. But on the other side, it also kind of makes me a little delusioned about good music, because when I hear your music, it's original, it's really good quality, there's a lot of effort that's been put into it, and I see that time after time, right? You see so many artists coming up, and just because they look a certain way or they dress a certain way, like you said, and they end up getting a lot of traction. But when it comes to actual talent and originality, then that's kind of lacking, and especially with a lot of big female musicians, which really bothers me, because when I search for female musicians on YouTube or Instagram, it's more about the way that they look than the way that they sound, which is very, very unfortunate, because then you're sort of being very superficial about the sort of music that and you are what you consume, right? So and now, because of the whole pandemic situation, everybody is just consuming online content. So it worries me that we're not allowing for enough diversity. We're not allowing people to grow as much, because, like you said, they're expected to fit into a certain mold. So as an artist who has managed to retain your integrity, who's been so successful doing something that is true to you, that is original to you, and of course, like, it takes a village to make a champion, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that have contributed to making you so strong and independent, and continue to be as integral and as independent as you can be. But what do you think the industry can do? What do you think these music managers, and what can they do to basically make this a little more streamlined, and while ensuring that, yes, it is a commercial industry, we understand that, but at the same time, how do we ensure diversity and equal opportunity for everyone as well?
I think there are certain programs, like Spotify has this equal program in which they're highlighting, like, more women artists based on merit. So, I mean, I would say that there are certain initiatives like that in which they are helping to say, I was featured they also have something called Amplify Her, in which they are sort of highlighting different people, not just musicians, but also who are involved in the process of creating music, or in the industry, like lyricists, producers, everybody. So I think, like, certain initiatives like that help to boost the, what do you say, people who would not be in the limelight for the way they look or whatever, but more for their talent. But as people individually, at the end of the day, you can, as much as we try to change how other people perceive things, we can only ultimately change the way we are doing things, or we're pursuing, because even if you tell somebody that you should do this or whatever, ultimately they are going to do whatever they want. So it's not in our locus of control, really. So I think the best that we can do at an individual level would be to just keep honing our skills and making music stand out in a way that when somebody hears it, they won't really care about. Like, okay, let's look at a Chandan Bala Kalyan, for example. I mean, I'm not saying that she's not attractive. She's obviously pretty and all, but that's not the focus. Like when people go to hear her, it's for her artistry and her command over the over her voice. Vajashri Gopalan, I think her last name is, or say Mohini Day, for example, like when she was like 16 and all that, like people were giving her a lot of attention, not because, I mean, of course, now she's looks more glam and all than whatever she used to at that point, but she got attention when she was 16 because of her command over that. So when you reach a certain level of mastery, it automatically commands attention. I would say that people who are at, if there were 10 people who are at the same level, then the ones who are more attractive and all on social media stand out. But if you up your game, then the people who are who have a mastery over their instrument or their voice or whatever their skill is, they stand out. But that's only when you're really like working on honing that and getting to a level. Like say, Vasundhara, I think you might have interviewed her for a podcast. She really, really has been working on perfecting her craft over the voice, and she's respected and known in India for that. Uh, because and people look up to her, whether they're men or women or anybody, because like they can see that, like, so I think when people when you keep honing that and your focus is that, then it automatically attracts such. I think all of us as individual artists or performers need to work on that, because ultimately perception is something that only that individual will change. Like you can't force anyone to change their views, unfortunately. But what we can do and what is in our control is how we present ourselves to the world. And I think integrity is important, and it's also important to keep improving. So I think once like we reach that certain level or whatever, then it goes beyond like the physical appearance and everything, because it connects to people also at another level. Like, you know, when you listen to Hari Prasad Chaurasiya playing, I mean, all you can just think about is how you're feeling when you're hearing that music. So your music needs to reach that level to make people feel something that makes them forget about what are we looking at, but oh, we're experiencing this, so we want more of that. Like, I think that's what we should focus on to see a change at all. Like,
Yeah, I really think you can take up a side hustle as a motivational speaker or something, because that was so beautiful. I have like goosebumps right now. But I really resonate with everything that you mentioned. Like Chandana Valan Kalyan, she does this beautiful thing where she takes like these jazz standards and makes Carnatic covers out of them. Then Moni De has like her own way. Like nobody plays bass like she does. Nobody uses the voice like Vasundhara does. Nobody, thinks like. And what I love about you is you don't associate an identity with your music. Like you don't say that, oh, if I'm going to do like an 80s vibe, I'm only going to do that. Or if I'm only going to do jazz, then that's my identity. You have you're trying out everything, you're exploring everything, you're learning in that process. So I think that sort of growth mindset is what sets you apart. And I have no doubt that that level of mastery that you speak of is not that far from you, if not already attained. So I think it was just absolutely fantastic speaking with you and learning about all your opinions. And thank you so much for sharing with
Thanks
all
so
of these
much. Yeah,
incredible.
I totally
Yeah.
agree with
yeah, it was a pleasure.
sorry
Yeah.
I totally agree with your hustle and the part where you actually talk about the skills, because now I've noticed I found a lot of indie artists through Instagram shorts. So I've been actually scrolling through shorts, and there are a lot of indie artists that I have found literally through Instagram shorts. So while there's a lot more competition right now on all these streaming platforms and giving a lot of people opportunity, the good people are found. I found a 16-year-old Pune girl who is trying to compose her own music. And I was
Oh,
in
wow.
awe of her work. And I think one of my friends actually shared her shots on her story. And once my friend shared it on her story, I was taken to her Instagram page. I immediately followed her. And she's just a 16-year-old, but she is so talented. And I think it's all about the skill, because now with a lot of
Yeah.
competition, you really don't need to rely on a label. You can be like, I can do it on my own. I will make my own shots. I'll do my own Twitch live stream. I will go on my Instagram.
Yeah.
I will get these gigs. And I think because of the social media, although there are more people coming into the game, it is easier to get noticed if you're really skilled. So that's amazing.
Yeah. I think women could either focus on, I mean, like, as you said, like either people can focus on getting more hot or getting more better. I mean, because ultimately, I mean, like, see, you either get views if you're really good looking or if you're really talented. So either you just like, you could focus on doing both. But the point is that after a certain age, like no one really cares how you look. So you might as well focus on getting more talented by putting more hours of practice and still working out and doing a thing, whatever. But that shouldn't be a norm. Like, I mean, I'm just, like, so you're right. Ultimately, it's the talent wins over everything else, man. Like, you have to kind of just focus on that. The hotness thing is just like a transient thing, dude. It's like, do you really want, and it's like more like, do you really want people to be recognizing you for something that you were born with or something that you worked hard on? Like, I don't know.
Oh my God, the number of people that this applies to is insane. But yes, thank you so much, Pragnya.
Thank you
I
so
think
much.
you put in.
It was
like,
fun talking to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You have such original thoughts, man. Like, you're really one of a kind. You're so unique, and just bless your heart. I think you've just put out incredible things into the world already in terms of the amount of music that you put in. I hope that you continue to put out more fantastic music, and that Grammy is on its way for sure. And
Next year,
yeah,
maybe.
yes,
Oh,
next
this-
year it's happening. And yeah, once again, everybody invested Pragnya's NFTs. This is going to blow up. It's going to get huge. I just know it. So yes, thank you so much, Pragnya. And
Thank you,
have a great-
guys. Girls. Sorry. Yeah.
Yes.
And yeah, all the listeners, do check out the album on Spotify, iTunes, and I'm on Instagram at Pragnya Wakhlu. So if you can follow me, that'll be awesome. And yeah, cheers. Thanks so much for having me, girls. You have a great weekend.